Ollie decided to have his coffee on the roof. The weather report made it look like it was going to be a great day. And so he took his coffee up there in a thermos and a scone that he'd bought last night. And up he went. After being sitting there for a minute, he looked up and he saw something he didn't expect to see again. And that was a giant pair of flying kissy lips. No, I thought that wasn't, no, 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 no. It can't be that again. We looked up and, I mean, they weren't actually making the kissy motion, but it did look like a giant pair of flying lips. I thought, all right, all right, all right, all right. First of all, is this even my problem? Looked again, and it did appear that there was some sort of giant flying thing over the city. It's like, all right, maybe it's somebody else's problem. The Air Force, the police. Just then, Ollie's phone rang. It was the mayor. I said, Ollie, some sort of crazy lips thing flying over the city. Can you help us? I said, yeah, I mean, I'm a private eye, right? Like, I'm not. Never mind. Yeah, I'll see what I can figure out. I'm going to have to call in some assistance. It's no problem, Ollie. I know that you're the best in the biz. We always pay our invoices. Yeah, you always pay my invoices. Mine, anyway. Yeah, all right. All right, all right, all right. I'm on it. So I stared at the lip things, thinking about his strategy, sipping his coffee. He thought, if I'm going to fight another giant monster, especially a flying one, I'm not going to do it on an empty stomach, and I'm not doing it without my coffee. It didn't actually appear to be attacking, so I observed it for a while. That is good news, yes. And about the time he finished his coffee, finished his scone, he realized that he needed to do basically the same strategy that he usually does when having some sort of flying thing, and that was to call his friend Jack the Hawk. Harry the Hawk, sorry, you're right. Harry the Hawk. It's a little bit early for a call, don't you think? I said, sorry, Harry, but there's some flying monster above the city. I need a lift. All right, all right. You're at your place? Oh, I said, yep, I'm already at the roof. All right, give me like 5 minutes to put some pants on. I said, pants? Yeah, figuratively. I don't actually wear pants. You know what? I'll be there in like a few minutes. I said, great. Thanks, Harry. So, while he waited and he watched, the thing seemed to be just kind of slowly circling. It's kind of downtown and midtown area. Excuse me. He called the mayor back. He said, wait, important piece of information I didn't get. Is it causing any damage? Is it, I don't know, attacking satellites or something? I said, no, and that's a good point. It hasn't actually done anything malicious yet, but it seems threatening. We need to know what's going on. We can't just have lips flying above our city, unaccounted for. If nothing else, it's surely violating some sort of FAA, airplane rule. I said, all right, good to know. About then, Harry came up, landed on the table there. I said, all right, Ollie, what are we oh, that. I'm guessing we're looking at that. He said as he saw the lips, which were at that point circling over Penn Station. I said, yep. Can you get me close? Harry said, probably. And with that, he picked Ollie up and flew. Harry was pretty fast, but, you know, carrying an octopus slowed him down a little bit. But where they were was just a couple miles from Penn Station, so they were there in, a matter of minutes. By then, the lips had turned to the west, but it was pretty easy to follow them. Harry and Ollie caught up to the lips when they were roughly over the West Baltimore Mark station. And I said, "All right, let's see. We're coming up, I guess, behind it. At least, it's traveling away from us in its flight path. Um, Probably we want to get up above it." I said, "Yeah, that makes sense. I brought this rock." Rock? Yeah, just if we can get over, I was gonna like drop a rock on it and see if it's, solid or what it is. I said, "All right, you're the boss." So Harry flew a little faster and caught up to it, and they got close to it. It's hard to. It's kind of weird looking. I dropped the rock, and it didn't make any noise when it hit. Just kind of. So I said, "All right, seems solid, but soft, oddly enough." Harry said, "All right, but here's the thing you might not have noticed yet, but I did as we came up. It's not one thing, it's two." I said, "What do you mean?" "Here." And Harry dipped down even with the thing instead of above it. And Molly said, "Oh man, you're right." I looked carefully, and it wasn't a pair of lips at all, actually. It was two, what could only be described as gummy bears, flying in close formation next to each other. Well, one on top of the other. And I said, "Well, that's odd. How close are they?" "They're flying pretty tight. I'd say it's 2, maybe 3 feet between them. And they're really holding that distance well. I don't see any, like, structures between them, but it could be that there's a cable or something. I don't know." I said, "Shoot, I wish it was nighttime." I said, "Why?" "Well, a while back when I fought that giant gummy bear, there was actually like a little control booth in the middle. And if I could shine a light through it, I might be able to see if there's like a solid object in the middle of one or both of them." I said, "Well, we don't have a flashlight, but we have the sun." I said, "Ah, you're right, you're right. Can you get it at the right angle?" I said, "Yep, and it's a cloudless day. Hang on well, I'm hanging on to you, but here we go." And Harry flew down and around, so they were sort of underneath of it and positioned so that the things were between them and the sun. I looked through, and if there was a control area, it wasn't big. It wasn't like the giant gummy bear. There's the whole person inside. The whole thing really was about the size. The two pieces put together were only about the size of a, I don't know, F-150. Like a big, but like a big truck, but not like a, hauling truck, like a personal truck, but on the big end. I said, "All right, but I don't see. I mean, maybe it's radio controlled. Could be." Here I said, "I don't see anything either." "All right, I think you got to get me on top of it." "Radio boss, how far of a drop do you want?" If you can get me within like 4 feet, that should be fine." "Not a problem. This thing's not moving very fast, and we've flown all around it now. It doesn't seem to be responding to us at all." I said, "Oh, I see what you mean. You're right." So Harry flew up above it, and Harry said, "When you're ready, Ollie, go for it." And Harry dropped Ollie, and he landed with a wet thud on what could only be described as, well, gummy bear material. Ollie said, "Ugh, it's sticky, it's moist." Harry could still hear him. He said, "I bet it's melting in the sun." I said, "Oh, you're right. You're right. That gives me an idea. Harry, can I ask you another favor?" "Yeah?" Can you bring me a magnifying glass? All right, sure. Give me like 20 minutes. So Harry flew off. And I started to investigate. It was sticky and kind of wet, like syrup spilled on the ground and then left for like a couple hours. But he could move around okay on it. So he climbed around trying to figure out if there was an entrance or anything. He tried to like run an arm in between the two layers to see if there was a cable or something supporting it, and looked around. He tried, kicking it. Nothing really seemed to do anything. It seemed to be just flying in a big circle. Not terribly interested in what Ollie was, the fact that there was an octopus on it. I said, all right, so it's not intelligent. It doesn't seem to be attacking. Right about the time that he was sort of wrapping up what investigation he could, Harry showed back up with the magnifying glass. All right, I'm going to throw it to you, Ollie. All right, thanks, Harry. I'm ready. And Harry tossed the magnifying glass, and Ollie caught it in one arm. He started to look closely at it, first just using it as a traditional magnifying glass. But didn't really yield anything. It just looked like, gummy bear. Ollie braved a taste, and it tasted like sort of tutti frutti, like a fruit punch, kind of a, artificial fruit flavor. And he got out the magnifying glass and positioned it by the sun and started to concentrate a spot on the top surface. It began to melt. It began to burn. As soon as it caught flame, the thing stopped in midair and almost knocked Ollie off. Some kind of sensor. All of a sudden, the thing turned and started going very fast, straight north. Ollie held on as hard as he could. It was hard because the thing was slippery and sticky at the same time. Harry gave chase just in case Ollie fell. They were moving fast. Harry could barely keep up. It came to an abrupt stop over a warehouse just north of Druid Hill Park. It began to lower down. It landed with a squish on a landing pad. And a bunch of people dressed like scientists and engineers, lab coats and such, came rushing out. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing? Why are you on our drone? I said, whoa, hold on a second. What is happening here? You burnt a hole in it? I said, what's going on? I'm here on the authority of the mayor. Let me see your flight papers. Do you have permission to fly this drone? It is a drone, but you're right. We don't have the flight papers. We didn't file a flight plan. It's big enough we need a flight plan, isn't it? At this point, Ollie was bluffing, but it probably was. He said, yeah. It's just a little, personal drone. It's usually not a big deal, but something big like this, come on, this thing's like the size of a truck. You gotta get a permit. I said, all right. Guys, we gotta call it off. And you, buddy, you gotta go. This is top secret stuff. I said, I don't know. If you were top secret, top secret, you'd have had the right clearances. The guy looked side to side. I said, all right. What do we got to do to get away from this? I said, you got to tell me what's going on. All right, fine. Look, we're private researchers. We figured out a way to levitate squishy soft matter. It's hard to see, but inside each one of these things is a disk. And your melting at the top of it warped the disk. And so it had a panic signal that brought it back to base. We're experimenting. It was like the easiest soft matter we could make at a large scale was this sort of gummy bear material. And I said, yeah, exactly. Look, I promise, it's peaceful. We're experimenting with flight. It's not. Why don't you come in? I'll show you the whole thing. You're not going to believe me, I can tell, unless I give you the whole rundown, but you got to keep it a secret. Assuming that you believe that I'm not some sort of evil genius trying to take over the world, you'll keep it a secret? Well, I said, well, I have one other condition. I said, name it. I need another cup of coffee. And that was the case of Ollie and the flying lip things again.